We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Howard radio clearance, over.
That's Clarence, over. Over. Roger.
Huh?
Hello, and welcome to Dots, Lines, and Destinations, episode 83. Today is May 28th, 2015. I'm your host, Stephen Seagraves, joined this week by Foz Mahmood. Hey, Foz.
Hello there. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. And Seth Miller. Hey, Seth.
Howdy, how you going?
It's going all right. It's a nice sunny day in Oregon today, which it's Sunday when we're recording this. So
Yeah, we had a great day in New York.
Did you go to the farmer's market?
Today, no, we did not go to the farmer's market. We went to out and enjoyed a little bit. It was kind of foggy this morning, so we figured it was going to be an ugly day. Went hiking yesterday. But
I saw you posted some nice pictures.
Yeah, it was kind of a off the beaten path waterfall, and so it was a bit of a hike. So it was nice.
Great.
You guys having a good holiday weekend?
Yes, nice and quiet.
Good. So today we're going to talk about some planes in the desert, Seth's Japan trip, and his Sky Miles analysis that he came out with, and some airline mobile apps, and just our thoughts about them and websites and things, and then Cuba. And I'm just going to leave it at Cuba, and we'll get to the details of that in a little bit.
Dun, dun, dun.
But first, Victorville. Foz, you got to go with Rolo and some other folks on a trip to Victorville, which, if people don't know, is a desert parking spot, kind of a technical place where they park airplanes. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about it?
Are we not calling them graveyards anymore?
It's kind of a graveyard. I mean, it's a graveyard, but it's also not a graveyard.
They don't all go there to die. Some of them are just, it's like a parking deck for planes for some of them.
Yeah, they're reborn.
Wow, I almost said something really wrong, so I'm going to
Yeah,
hold
I'm
that to myself.
I'm trying to make a religious joke there, and I can't make it happen.
I didn't want us to lose our rating, so they go there to find a new life. It's a spiritual journey for airplanes.
It's not getting better.
We a couple of us got to go to Victorville, which is probably the largest of the graveyards out there, and really this came through a friend of mine who works in the industry, and he's been to Victorville any number of times. He goes to a number of others, and one day I'm just like, can I go with you one day? And he goes, yeah, sure. I'm like, can I bring people? And he's like, sure. I'm like, okay. So what started as a small group of 4 people at one point ballooned to, I think, 10 people. Unfortunately, sadly, the 2 of you weren't able to make it, so we were down to 8 by the end of it. But, it was an amazing experience. The guidance we got ahead of time was, no pictures, we'll show you around, whatever. Didn't really know what to expect. I said, being there would be cool enough. Got a really cool guy to show us around, who showed us through some of the machine shops that they have, then took us out to the graveyard. And so, he just pulls into the middle of what seemed like an infinite number of planes. Ironically, most of the planes there were either BA 747s, FedEx, some variety of FedEx, a lot of 727s, and a smattering of United 757s.
Nice.
And those were the overwhelming variety there. There were a couple here and there. I mean, there was a couple of EVA planes that were parked and MD-11s that were ready to go. But yeah, it's like, we were all commenting. He's driving us around, and it's amazing how many 747-400s BA had that are now parked. Like, it's ridiculous. And you just don't realize how many there are out there. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, did you happen to see the Qantas 767s? Because I'm pretty sure they actually ended up in Victorville.
So, interesting thing about the Qantas planes. So, on the other side, like way in the distance, we saw a ton of Qantas planes, and we were talking to the guy. We're like, are those Qantas planes? He goes, yeah. I'm like, what's the deal with those? He goes, well, that's actually operated by another company. So there's 2 companies that operate at Victorville that run these graveyards. So there's actually 2 graveyards at Victorville. So the Qantas ones were on the other side.
I got you.
Run by the other company. But there were 767s and 74s that we could see from the distance. We even saw some L-1011s parked in this mishmash.
Wow.
We saw
they haven't been scrapped yet.
One was, so I'll get to the scrapping part, but one was getting ready to get scrapped. And in honor of Rolo, we even saw a pair of Aerolíneas 343s.
Nice.
But we're getting driven around in this church van, and he's pointing everything out. We watch this one of the planes they were dismantling was a SkyWest CR2 and a Singapore 74 freighter. So those were pretty cool to watch as they were working through them and dismantling them piece by piece and harvesting all the parts. But then he drove out to the field where all the planes are, pulls up in the middle, parks, and says, "Okay, you guys can get out."
Nice.
And he's like, "And if you guys want to take pictures, just be a little discreet, but feel free to take some pictures and just no tail numbers." So we're like, cool. And he's like, "Oh, and be careful of rattlesnakes." He goes, "We have a lot of rattlesnakes here, so you just want to be cautious of that."
Nice.
So I'm pleased to report there was no rattlesnake incidents. It was definitely the highlight of the whole thing. But yeah, we probably walked around for an hour and a half, just like going through as whatever we wanted. He walked us through. There was a FedEx 727 that was open. He's like, "Yeah, go on up." Walked all the way into the cockpit. You could play with the controls, and we went in through the back stairs. So as you're going up through the back stairs, you see all the cables for the tail assembly that are operated by the yoke. I mean, it was really a wild experience, and you could see all the rollers on the floor for the cargo containers and everything.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was a blast. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And just like, there's like 8 adults here. It's like, yeah, this is just, it was like little kids in a candy store all drooling on, all excited.
Nice.
Now, is the reason for the no tail numbers, is that because people are having things, they don't want people to know what their planes are doing, or what?
I don't really know. I didn't ask.
Yeah.
That's been my experience at any number of sort of private facilities.
They just don't want their plane numbers out there in the public to know.
Yeah, so
I guess if the tail number's out, they know who took them there.
Gotcha.
Or where you were. I mean, you could still figure it out in some cases, but I guess that makes it a little easier to figure it out.
Gotcha.
And then after we went through that little area, we went to what we like to call death row. and these are all the planes that are getting ready to go through the scrapper. So there was probably 5 or 6 planes. There was a Cathay 747. There was 2 United 762s. So these are pretty old planes. But the amazing thing about the United planes was they never even took the engines off. I mean, my friend was company. He's like, he's like, why didn't we had some United folks with us. Like, why didn't you guys take the engines off? I'm like, we don't know. I mean, he's like, you guys could have sold these for $2 million, and yeah, they didn't care. So these entire 762's engines intact are about to go get scrapped. They're just in line because right now they were doing the one CRJ where they were harvesting the parts. So the parts out of these planes have already been harvested. Now it's just basically they get scrapped for scrap metal. And there was another CR2 that was in the scrap metal stripping process. So there was 5 or 6 planes waiting to go, and I'm pleased to announce that the Battleship Gray survives the heat of the desert for 15 years. As does the Star Alliance logo, which is amazing.
Whose CR2s were they?
SkyWest.
Oh, thank God. Keep on going.
I know, keep killing them. The one thing that was interesting, I have never noticed this but on a BA 744, on the sides of the airplane, there are markings that say "cut here."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's for emergency access.
I've never seen that before. I've never noticed it. So I was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty nifty." It's
like spaces where you can cut through the fuselage for emergency workers that don't interact with control systems or whatever, and won't cause a fire and stuff like that. It's supposed to be access panels, basically.
It made complete sense. It was just I had never seen it before on any plane, so it was pretty cool to see. But yeah, and then we ended up going to a local dive to go have burgers, which I guess was on the Food Network, and the waitresses there were snarky as hell. But fun.
Yay, I guess.
It was a good experience. I mean, the food was really good. And it was entertaining. But it's literally a place with 12 seats, 14 seats, and 8 of us walk in. And they're like, give us a few minutes.
Oops.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm really sad I didn't get to go. I was really looking forward to it.
You were missed.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a fun time. So, Seth, we didn't get to talk about this last show, but your trip to Japan.
Yeah.
Just happened, a couple months ago?
Not even. So just a month ago now. I was there for 10 days in the middle of April. We missed the initial cherry blossom season, but there's a secondary season where there's apparently a different type of cherry blossom that I still happen to think is quite beautiful, so I don't really care all that much. But we basically were there between the main cherry blossoms and the spring golden week period, so there's sort of a lull in the middle of 2 high seasons, and we snuck in that interim period and had an absolute blast. I went with my wife and her parents, and we were out and about, for the 10 days. We did a couple days in Tokyo, a day each in Nagoya and Kyoto, and then the rest of the time in smaller, more rural areas, which was really, really neat. It was a very different sort of experience from my previous Tokyo trips, to see the countryside a little bit. We spent a day hiking. This is one of the neater experiences. It's called the Nakasendo Trail, and so this is one of the old roads that connected Tokyo and Kyoto back hundreds of years ago when you had to walk to get from place to place, or carts or whatever it was. And this trail is one of 5 that existed between the two cities. And part of it has been sort of retrofit and marked up and easy to hike now. And it's, part of it is steep, but it's at least, connects 2 cities that are little towns that are both sort of touristy and are each, on transit lines. So it's easy to do as a day trip or an overnight. And we went out, early in the morning from Nagoya, like an hour and a half by train up into the countryside, hiked all day, and then at the other end got to the other town and stayed in one of the ryokan sort of local inns there. And the hiking was very cool. It was neat to just, be out in nature, which is something I don't normally think about when I think of Japan. I basically only think of Tokyo, so, because I'm an idiot. But anyway, got out into the nature a little bit, which was nice. It was really pretty. And then the town at the other end was one of the better maintained, restored towns. So it's considered to be sort of, one of the best examples of what life was like in the 1700s, with the caveat that all the storefronts are now tchotchke shops. So it's a little annoying, but it was still neat to see, it's, basically all wooden construction, sort of the tallest anything gets is 2 stories, and just, long, sort of narrow road winding through town is the trail. And at some point the town ends and the trail continues. But it was really neat to do that. But staying at the ryokan, we also had the sort of full meal, full board sort of plan, which as I understand it is traditional there. And the owner comes out and plays waiter. His wife is the chef, and it was like a 6-course meal, including, all local ingredients, all locals. It was absolutely incredible. One of the better meals of my life. And, just like everything was fresh, everything was local. It was all delicious. And the whole sort of experience and the stories that come along with all of it adds to the fun. So it's like, there's a particular type of sort of a pink trout that's almost like a salmon. That's either a hybrid or I don't know exactly, part of the fun was there's, even with him speaking very good English, some language barriers, but it was really interesting. We had, like a Wagyu beef kind of thing as part of the meal. There was like 2 courses of desserts. It was ridiculous. So that was really, really cool. And honestly, just getting out of town was a really nice sort of change of pace. The other area we spent a couple days that was out of town was Kamakura, which is just south of Tokyo, it's like the Tokyo beach town area, about an hour south on the train. And there's a bunch of temples there as well. In the, I think, 1100s or 1200s, it was the capital of the Shogun era government. So it like built up very quickly with temples and stuff while it was in control. And then as soon as the capital moved, it sort of fell into disrepair, and it was basically an afterthought to the country until the train showed up again about 100 years ago, and it sort of was brought back into an accessible place. And now it's got little like villas that people go down from Tokyo and hang out on the beach. It's got all the temples still, and they've all been sort of restored as tourist events. There's a giant Buddha at one of the temples that everybody goes to, apparently. There were like 20 different school groups all taking class photos in front of it while we were there, which was fun. I couldn't crash that. I tried to photobomb it a couple times, but it didn't work. Somehow I stood out from a bunch of Japanese 10-year-olds.
I have no idea how. Yeah,
bizarre, I know. And we went to a baseball game.
I'm a little jealous of that, to be honest.
It was awesome. The baseball was fine. It's more or less the same as American baseball. It's a little slower, a little more deliberate, and I couldn't have cared less. Like, we weren't really there to watch the baseball, except that's sort of what you started with. But the whole experience was incredible. We had actually another guy, blogger, the Points Jock, hooked us up. He saw me tweeting about it at one point. He lives over there, and he's in the military, and he lives near Tokyo, and he's like, he saw my tweet about trying to figure out how to go to a game. He's like, hey, just let me know what your dates are. We'll go. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. And so, like, when we got there, I sent him a DM. I was like, were you serious about that? Because it's a little crazy, but if you're willing to do it, like, we'd love to. And he's like, yep, just meet me at this, train station at this time, and I'll have tickets, and we'll go.
That's awesome.
And, anyway, we paid, like, I want to say $20 a head for tickets, and you apparently just buy them at the 7-Eleven.
What don't you buy at Japanese 7-Elevens? That's my question.
Nothing. His comment was, yeah, I paid my water bill and bought baseball tickets for us. Like, that was his afternoon. But it was, we had the entertainment of sort of going there, and my father-in-law's like, who are we meeting? I tell him, he's like, do you know what he looks like? I'm like, no, but I assume that there'll be basically a 6-foot-tall white guy looking for other white people, and we'll find each other pretty quickly. And we did. True? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, from across the room, or across the train station, it was very obvious. But we went in, they give you, we got a bumper sticker kind of thing as a souvenir, and they give you a balloon when you go in through the gates. And it turns out that during the 7th inning stretch, everybody blows up the balloons, which look like giant phalluses. It's a little awkward, but sure, go with it. And like their band, which there's a band that travels with the team, and we were sitting near them, and there's cheerleaders, like girls on the field in short skirts type of cheerleaders, but also people who stand up in the stands and like conduct cheers of the fans. And it's like a guy who travels with the team also, and like he conducts the band and the cheers, and it's a whole thing. It was sort of all of the things you read about Japanese baseball, where everybody's crazy and cheering and coordinated and whatnot. And we were sitting in the middle of it, having no idea what the hell was going on.
So they travel with their own MC?
Yeah.
So laugh track?
Yeah, basically. But at the end of the cheer of the 7th inning, there's like at the 7th inning stretch, at the end of the cheer, everybody releases the balloons and they all go up into the air, and then the grounds crew comes out and runs and cleans them off the field, and then you go again, and like they start playing more baseball. But apparently the release of the balloons is a big part of the event.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was cool. I mean, it was really bad baseball. The Yokohama Bay Stars apparently are awful, and that was the team we were cheering for. And until the 8th inning, they did basically nothing. But in the 7th or 8th inning, I think they put up a couple home runs and tied the game. And a home run apparently triggers a special sort of cheer where you just keep cheering until something else happens. And it's like, literally like the band is on loop. The people are screaming. All I got was the word Yokohama every now and then because that's vaguely, something that made sense. But it was like they just kept going and going and going. It's like 15 minutes of cheering nonstop, singing and the band playing and whatnot because this guy hit a home run. And just when you thought it was going to settle down, another home run. And it just spooled all back up again. And then finally there was, the third out of the inning and the cheering settled down and you could like relax for a little bit. But it was really, really fun. Every player has his own chant, sort of like the bleacher creatures at Yankee Stadium where they welcome the players onto the field.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing here. So I felt at home in that, except the part where I didn't know any of the names or what they were saying. But yeah, that was really, I like to say I don't have a bucket list or anything like that, but if I had one, this would be on it, and I would be really, really happy to check it off. So I'm a huge fan.
So did you enjoy Japan outside of Tokyo? Is it what you expected it to be?
It was, and yes, I did. We really had a great time just about everything we did. I will say there was a minor panic at one point. I had some fun on Twitter. I'm like, gosh, I'm out of cash, and the JR Rail booth doesn't take credit cards. Oh, shit. True story. Like, we actually did not have enough money to buy tickets to where we were going. And I knew that, like, the country is still very cash-based. There's a lot of places that don't take credit cards, and I knew that. But the train stations had always taken credit cards. But I had also always been in big cities, or big enough cities. And apparently the train station we were at was small enough and remote enough that it did not take credit cards. It's like, oh, shit. And so the only ATMs that generally accept foreign cards are at 7-Elevens or the post office. So there's a bank in town. And oh, by the way, we had like 12 minutes to catch from the bus that we had taken over to catch the train. So, and we needed to buy 2 tickets for me and my wife. My in-laws had JR Rail passes, so they could just walk in by waving their pass, but like trying to figure out how me and my wife were going to get on the train. And we ran to the bank. Bank wouldn't take our cards, so we ran back, trying to figure it out. And I walked up to the counter. I'm like, how much is the ticket? And like, get all the way to Kyoto, which was our next stop, was way more money than I had. I'm like, well, how much just to like the next small city, or like slightly larger city? I think it was back to Nagoya. And it was like, and we basically, I bought a ticket halfway. I had just enough. I was within like, I want to say 200 yen or $2 of the cash in my pocket of being able to afford it, but had just enough money to get halfway. And then once we got into that train station, I walked up to the guy and basically exchanged our tickets, and they did an ad collect, charged me on a credit card, and issued new tickets.
Oh, it's nice. That worked out then.
It did. But it was like, there was a absolute moment of legitimate panic of like, oh shit, what do you do now? And I was like, okay, well, you buy one ticket and leave one person here and then send someone back. You could, do you ride the train and hope no one checks the tickets? Because they really never checked the tickets on the local trains.
It's the one time though. It's the one time
it would absolutely be the one time you get caught, and like getting caught in Japan would just be terribly embarrassing in all sorts of ways. Not to mention I have no idea what the fine would be.
Make for a good story?
Yeah, I think it made for a pretty good story anyways.
Oh, it did.
So it was, I will say this is my 4th, I think, time I've visited Japan, maybe 5th, and the other times have all been only in Tokyo, with one exception where I did a day trip to Hiroshima as part of the 787 early, on its third day of service a couple of years ago. This was by far the best of the trips. Tokyo's great, but getting out of Tokyo makes Japan such a better place to visit.
Sweet.
So
Sounds like fun. I got to catch a baseball game next time I'm there.
Yeah, it was so cool. It helped having a guy who had been to a bunch and explained a bunch of them to us, and just like knew what he was doing. Like, apparently you can buy a kid's ticket cheaper than an adult ticket, except it's the same amount of space. So for Americans who are generally larger and don't fit in the seat so well, buying a kid's ticket is a nice little deal. Like, you pay like $5 extra to get an extra seat in between, and that you can all sort of spread out a little bit.
I see. So you get a little extra space.
Yeah, and it's cheap. I mean, out in the bleachers, anyways. So
well, let's hope the bloggers don't get a hold of this and kill the deal.
Yeah, there I was. I put it out there. Shit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really like sort of incredible or special about them. There was a lot of fun little bits that we got to do, but I think the baseball game and the Nakasendo Trail and that sort of dinner were just really some of the true highlights. So
sounds awesome.
Yeah. So we did stay in a couple Airbnbs and on a bunch of like sort of the old tatami mat style beds and stuff instead of in hotels. Interesting experience.
Is that what you're going to leave it at? Are you not going to give us any details?
Well, you're basically sleeping like on a futon on the floor. So yeah, interesting.
Not the most comfortable conditions.
It's not plush, certainly. It's not even like futons like we think of them in the States, like on that you had in college or whatever. It was a thin padded. One or two of the places had extras, and we doubled them up, and it made it reasonable. But there were a couple very thin, sort of basically sleeping just straight on the floor nights. So
good times.
Yeah, all good.
Well, we'll keep it with you, Seth. I'm going to let you explain this. You did some Sky Miles analysis, mostly rewards, right? Reward redemption amounts.
Yeah. So a couple months back, when Delta sort of has been shifting things lately, they switched off their reward charts and just took them away. And so it's been interesting trying to sort of figure out what does an award cost or what should an award cost, right? You can always go onto the webpage and tell you what it does cost. But figuring out what it should cost and sort of what's the range of available numbers is challenging. And so I've been doing some data collection lately and finally aggregated a whole lot of information. So I have basically country to country pairs where you can now sort of put in country origin and country of destination, and it will spit out whatever data points I've collected for that country pair. And so in some cases when it's all on Air France, or I'll tell you, if you're doing sort of intra-Schengen in Europe, there's not a lot of variety because it's basically there's two rates. It's all low level, and there's a coach and there's a business. Every now and then you'll get a mixed cabin where it'll do like coach to one stop and then plus business to the next one. But generally there's only two numbers. For anything involving Delta Metal, or in some cases where you get sort of mid-tier awards plus low tier or other combinations like that, it all becomes end-on-end pricing. So instead of just being Zone A to Zone B, it's sort of Zone A to Zone C plus Zone C to Zone B, or depending on how many connections there are, there can be multiples added up like that. And you get some really, really weird numbers out of the situation. And I've got, I think the U.S. to France, when I was doing the math, there were like 20 different possible rates for business class. It's interesting. Part of me hates it because like I want the simple numbers and just to know what it is. At the same time, I understand why Delta is doing it, and so I can't hate them too much for it. But there's, it's better to have sort of access to that flight to the gateway plus the transatlantic flight or whatever it is at the sort of end-on-end rate than it is paying the higher price for everything. Or, in some cases where it's a partner involved, there is no higher price necessarily. So one example is like Atlanta to Sydney. Depending on what you're paying to get to on the Atlanta-LA flight, it goes sort of end-on-end plus the Virgin Australia low fare for LA to Sydney. Because there is no low inventory on Delta. And it's cheaper for them to charge you, $20,000 or 20,000 points rather than 12,500 versus charging you the higher rate all the way through on Delta Metal.
So does the end-on-end thing apply then if you book it over the phone as well, or is it just a quirk in the website?
No, it in the cases I've identified, there are definitely a few where things look like they're actually broken as opposed to just doing this. And it's a fine line, I understand, but we'll accept it for now. And there's definitely somewhere it's broken, where like it just keeps adding instead of rounding up where it should. But I think it does apply over the phone. These are actually the numbers. Yeah, and so it's challenging, but in some cases you end up with actually cheaper awards than you otherwise would have seen. So that's sort of win some, lose some scenario where at least the inventory is available and now you have options, but it also exposes just how crazy the segment availability is and how they're playing games with different segments and different chunks of a trip.
Well, and so just to give you an idea, like from the West Coast, Seattle, Portland, Boise, different places out here, it's almost impossible to find United space to a hub, even though you can find hub to where you're going reward inventory. So what you end up with is you have to make a decision. Do I pay cash to get to the hub, or do I fly someone else to get to the hub? Like, I want to catch that flight. I want that reward space that I can actually get the long haul flight on, but they hardly ever open inventory up, even the non-saver, the anytime type award.
Well, you should have unlimited access to any time.
Well, but I mean, how do you build that in then? Because do you just call in and say I want that space, because they're going to give you the whole trip in that?
Oh, so right. So if you're trying to price it end on end that way, I think if you do it multi-city, you can mix and match.
Okay. I might have to try that then, because
you can do that. You can do that and have them stand you by on the lower bucket.
Okay, as long as it's all United metal, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are some ways to help in that regard, and there's still some things that United does well in that. But right, this is one of the other situations where like Delta does have at least 5 different prices, sort of for each segment on Delta metal. United only has 2, and some of the Delta prices are cheaper than the double points that you're getting for Rule Buster. I think Delta's most expensive is higher, but it really sort of just depends on which one you can snag.
It's interesting.
Yeah. The other thing I've done, which will go out early in this week, probably on Tuesday, I think, I built a browser extension plugin for this data. So now you basically can load this into Chrome or Firefox or whatever your non-IE-ish browser is. I don't think does IE support browser extensions yet or no? You guys know? Does anyone use IE?
I haven't used IE in I don't know how long.
Not really.
So anyway, you basically load this in and it'll add, on the results page of the Delta where at the top it says, coach or economy, main cabin, and then business/first at the top, talking about the different cabins in the reward results. It'll actually throw in the numbers that I've collected. So it'll tell you what it thinks the sort of ideal priced award should be. And then as you scroll through, you can see if you're getting that price or not.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's that. I just finished that tonight.
So when
go out on Monday.
When the show gets published, then it'll be out there already, and people can find it. And you can find it on your tools page.
Yep, it's on. It's in the browser extensions page on the blog.
Sweet.
And I'll put a link in the show notes too for anyone who cares that much.
Yeah, and then kind of since we're talking about this subject, I guess we should talk a little bit about mobile websites and websites in general and apps that the airlines use. United's got their new website is in beta now, and it's kind of like an open beta, so you don't have to have special clearance to view it. You just go to beta.united.com. And I just want to get I think we all know what each other's thoughts are on the website, but I wanted to guess we should do it for the show. What you guys kind of think of it?
There's an awesome link at the bottom of the page that says return to main site.
The original site.
Yeah, that's the best link on that site.
I will say that there are some cool things about it, like the visualization for the award, or not the awards, your elite status. That's nice. It's nice to have little circles with your segments or whatever. But the search for actual inventory and flights that you want is probably the worst. I don't know how it could have gotten worse. Like, isn't it the same engine driving this? Like, how can you make it worse? Half the time it doesn't even find what you want. So
half the time I was just getting an error like unable to load results. I would get a JavaScript pop-up box.
Yeah, I would get that, or I would get like some kind of I would get an error that said no results. It would give that, and then you'd click OK, and then it would load results, and they were just crap results.
See, I haven't had an issue where it doesn't display results, but like I'll give you an example. I was searching for LA Newark this coming Friday, and it was giving me like the early morning flights 6:10, 6, 9, 10, and it stopped at 11. And I know there's more flights after 11. I'm like, maybe I need to adjust my time. Maybe there's no inventory. Adjusted the time, saw nothing. Went and looked. The inventory was there. So the website was just being very picky as to what it was showing and just completely leaving out entire banks of flights.
Yeah.
It wanted to sell you only the morning flights.
The irony of that is like one of the big features it's supposed to have is better filters.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a lot of this, right? When it works, it actually does work pretty cool and it has some nice features, but it's just not working.
Yeah. It's got a lot of bugs and a lot of like weird little quirks where you think it should work. Like I had one on my Mac. I'm typing in the city code.
Yeah.
And I would tab, and I wouldn't select a city, right? I wouldn't actually click on their list. I just typed in the code because on the original site it doesn't work. That's annoying. I mean, that's just like that's obnoxious. I can do almost everything I need to do on the keyboard, but I don't want to grab my mouse to select something that comes up. So
They're not alone in that, though. A lot of airlines are obnoxious like that.
yeah, but their old site doesn't do that. Like their old
Right.
site, if you put in PDX, no matter what, if you select something or not, it's going to know what that means. So anyway, but on those same lines, United released a new app version. Originally, it had a bunch of bugs in it when I first downloaded it, and then they fixed the bugs, and it's actually pretty cool because it gives you much better. You can now search by fare class, which is awesome if you're looking for W space and what the cost would be. You can look by. It gives you the first class price on the same page as the coach class price, and the refundable price on the same page. So when you select a flight, you can see what those items are. Like you can see how much they are. So you get a lot more options on the same page. You can see the connections. It's actually pretty nice.
If only it would stop showing the one-way price.
Yeah, I really wish it would just show the entire price. I do not understand why it has to do that. I do not like one-way pricing.
No, I don't understand either, and I think that's one of the problems with the new site as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's people. I'm sure they've got studies that say people buy more when they don't know the full price going in.
Yeah.
But you know the whole price by the end of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, psychology is crazy. What do you want? People are weird and do strange things.
The price is there when you're putting in the credit card number.
What's the other thing that you can do? Oh, the award search is actually pretty nice now. They'll show you can you select during a regular search, it's like show award inventory, and then it'll show you the coach awards, and you can tell it that you want to see all cabins, all the cabin award availability, and you can also see the reward calendar, which is pretty sweet. It does have some quirks in it, and I'm sure they're going to work those out, but it's pretty neat to be able to see the same calendar that you used to get on the old United.com website now in an app form, which is pretty cool.
And you can also change your country of origin in case there's another currency fluctuation.
That's true. It's very true. Oh, and I did hear that actually being able to see upgradable space, as in GPU and RPU space, in the app will be coming soon. So
Yeah, they got that showing on the website now, and they're really trying to go to a common code base. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and you will be able to also apply your upgrades on the app soon,
which would be cool. Really
Yes.
cool. Since we're talking about United, I think we need to talk a little bit more about other airlines, because I had to fly Delta recently, this past week.
Ooh.
Had the opportunity.
I had to. It was the best timed option. It really was, and it was the same price as everybody else, and it got me in not at midnight, which I was happy about. Between Milwaukee and Des Moines, via Minneapolis.
Oh, speaking of Des Moines, do you want to tell us about the lovely Sheraton you stayed at?
Oh my gosh. It's like the 1980s in that place, man. They threw up all. It's like a scene from Up in the Air. That entire hotel.
I've stayed at that hotel, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Am I wrong? I mean, it's
Nope. Nope. It's just that one building out in the middle of nowhere, this giant parking lot surrounding it.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh, so I don't have to go back to Des Moines, which is good. But I had to fly there, and Delta's app experience leaves a lot to be desired. Both.
I would correct that and say just remove app.
Yeah, Delta's website and app both together have a lot to be desired. The plane and the flight experience was great. It was fine. I actually got an upgrade with my Alaska status on one segment on an hour flight. But the app, it's hard to see the upgrade list because you can't see it until you checked in, and you can only see it for flights that you're on. When you clear, for some reason, the app doesn't show you as cleared. It just disappears you off the list. And so you'll watch seats. As I was on my first flight, I was watching seats get taken in first, and then people were disappearing off the upgrade list, but there was no way to know where they upgraded. And even the display showed them at the airport. It showed them as being upgraded. The app didn't. I thought that was strange. And just some weird stuff with buying tickets and things. It's very quirky. Buying stuff like I used my Alaskan number when booking, and you have to complete the booking before it'll read your Alaskan number to do everything, so you can select seats and stuff. So there was no seats to select on any of the flights I was taking at first, and I was kind of like, what the heck is this? So I go through the whole thing, and then it finally lets me select them once my Alaska number is accepted. And then I wanted to put in my pre-check information just to make sure that was in there. Well, they have a little section where you type it in. I type in, I'm a male, born in 1980, whenever, and then my known traveler number, and I click save. Well, I would assume that information should then show up in the reservation or somewhere. Nope. Nope. So I had no idea if it was really there.
I've had a problem where I put information in, and when I go to check in, it's not there.
Yeah. So it's like, well, I was lucky enough. I called them, and they said, yes, we see your known traveler number and your birth date and your name. And it worked. I actually had pre-check. It was nice. But it's just quirky stuff like that. I do like their PDF version of the receipt, though. I find it's much more readable.
Okay.
Small detail.
Small victories.
Yeah.
I was using the Delta app a couple of weeks back, trying to monitor watching my parents' flight because I was meeting them at the airport, and I would like let it go for 10 minutes and then log back and pick it back up to refresh it, and it would take me back out to the front page every time. Like it wouldn't leave me on the flight status page.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And I had an existing Delta reservation, so it kept trying to take me to my reservation when I was trying to actually track a different flight. It was pretty frustrating.
Yeah, it's got some...
Especially because I was really hungover and couldn't remember the 4-digit flight number and kind of kept looking it up.
It's got some weird stuff that goes on with it as far as like paging, and it's not intuitive. Like the things that are in the app that tell you, like, let me pull it up here since we don't have the producer on the show, I'll do this myself. So
go ahead.
First of all, you have to continuous guess because I don't have a Delta account, and then your first thing is the book a flight screen. But then down at the bottom it says my trips. Okay, so you can search for your confirmation number or whatever, and then you can search for today, which shows you trips that are today, which is odd, and then you have a feed, which is notifications. It just seems like useless crap. So when you're looking for stuff, like I actually want to find something, I gotta go dig through all these screens, find the reservation that I was looking for, and then find in that, I have to scroll through that thing and find what it is that I want. So if I want to change my seat or whatever, it's in that one screen and you have to scroll through it. It just is not, it's not intuitive.
It could be the American app that when you get to the gate won't let you pull up your boarding pass anymore because you're too close to departure time. I had that a couple weeks ago.
Well, you guys are talking about boarding passes. I've been having a problem with the United app where my boarding passes I add to Passbook and they disappear. And so I went looking for them because as you can imagine, I have a ton of boarding passes. They all show up, and it's random travel for the last 2 years that shows up between December 17th, 2014 and December 19th, 2014.
What?
Something is off with the sequencing of the boarding passes, so it's burying them down in the middle of the stack. So like boarding passes from my trip to LA last week, I couldn't find them.
And see, I don't ever use Passbook, so I never even had this problem, but it sounds annoying as hell.
Yes, well, the United app is really good because it lets you pull up a boarding pass at any point in the app.
Yep.
The AA app only adds it to Passbook.
Ah.
So you always have to go to Passbook to pull up the AA boarding pass. So even when you go back to the app and say, show me boarding pass, it actually just opens a Passbook.
Yeah. I think with United, I always take a screenshot of the boarding passes, and for one very specific reason. I was on a flight that was delayed, and they had closed the door, and the boarding pass disappeared. And then they opened the door, and they were putting us onto other flights because the flight had canceled. And I had no boarding pass.
They closed the flight out so you couldn't pull up a new boarding pass again.
Yeah, I couldn't pull it up, and then they reinstated my flight, and I didn't have a boarding pass. And so
Oops.
I was kind of like, well, I board your plane, but you need to print a new one out, which is annoying. But
this is why I always get a paper one.
Paper. Oh, jeez. Gary, are you allowed in Portland?
Probably not. Is the United Club still there to print the thermal ones for me?
Yes, it is actually. If you need a real boarding pass, the United Club.
Yeah, I don't like those stupid
paper. The heat paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all thermal at the end of the day, but one's cardstock, one's paper.
Yeah. So one last thing, kind of random and kind of vague. Seth told us he wanted to talk about Cuba.
So I'm going to Cuba in a couple weeks. I'm going to, in between the IATA annual general meeting and the Paris Air Show, I have a couple days to kill, and I figure why not spend it in Havana. In large part because there's a flight every Saturday from Havana to Paris, operated by Cubana, that I was really excited about, because it's the IL-96. And then I was talking about it with a friend recently, and he's like, oh, they've been subbing that aircraft out. And I got a little sad, and I went and looked it up, and for like the last 2 months, it's been a 767-300.
Interesting.
And so now I'm like...
Have we understood where the 76 came from, given that it's a U.S.-built plane?
It's a wet lease from Portugal, as I understand it.
Okay.
But I'm a little torn now, because I still would like, the Cubana experience, I guess. But part of the reason for doing this was to get on the IL-96. And I'm not sure... Right, there's also an Air France flight that would be on a real airplane. I mean, I guess at this point the 763 is a real airplane too, but would be a real airline. Would have modern conveniences and comforts such as much as Air France does, that sort of thing.
I mean, have you seen what the inside of the 767 looks like?
No.
Because the reason I was going to ask is, from what I've heard, the Air France experience is not that great in coach, right?
Sure, and I did premium economy and didn't really love it either. But Yeah, and so right, it can't be that much better or worse. I mean, I would imagine the food in theory would be better, but it's all got to be catered out of Havana anyways. So
Yeah. I think their 7.6s come from Air Europa, so I'm sure that's where you could find your
okay,
information.
which means it's going to be tight.
It's going to be
Coach.
tight in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like I was going to splurge on business class for the Aleutian, but I'm not sure if that's worth it for Air Europa. Maybe it's more worth it given.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, how long is that flight? It's what, 10 hours maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
What day are you going?
Saturday, the June 13th.
It's sad that they're subbing it.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked. There's a Madrid flight also.
Is there anything that they're not subbing? Like, are there any ones where the IL-96 is definitely?
No, I'm not sure the 96 still operates. Right. So, and the Madrid flight is Iberia. That basically Cubana only had, I think, the 196, and so like once a week it would go to Paris, and I think then it would come back, and then like another day it would go to London and come back, and that was it. It wasn't flying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm a little torn on what to do now because I'm supposed to have this sort of AvGeek adventure, and I'm sure it will still be an adventure of some sort, but it's not quite the same excitement since it's not the Aleutian.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
well, I think
the good news is they could still sell one-way tickets cheap as hell. I mean, relatively speaking.
Well, I think it's awesome either way that you're gonna be in Cuba.
Yeah, so
Pretty cool.
looking forward to it.
Yeah. If our listeners have any opinion on what Seth should do, leave a comment or hit him up on Twitter. I'm sure he'd like to hear
You
it.
could backtrack to Panama and take the Panama-Frankfurt flight.
Has that started operating yet?
It looks like it's operating on the... Wait, maybe not. I'm looking at the wrong day. I guess I'll hope if I look at the right day.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a Panama Amsterdam KLM flight,
Yep,
which is why
there's
Copa
that
has the partnership with KLM still.
Can you get to San Juan easily? Because you could also do one of the San Juan Europe flights.
Try. Here's the other problem: is like figuring out how to fly in and out of Cuba is surprisingly challenging.
Yes.
And booking the tickets is not with a U.S. credit card is not trivial. Although I did it, I got a Cancun to Havana flight booked with a U.S. credit card
Wow.
Congrats.
on Cubana. Yeah, Sea-Trip out of China.
They don't care about which credit card you use.
I had to scan and email them a signed document saying that I authorized the charge of my credit card, send them a photo of the front and back of my credit card, and a picture of me holding my passport to the photo page. They care a lot about what credit card is used.
Wow.
But then like an hour later, the ticket was issued. So,
Well, it's good.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. I think that wraps up this week's show. It's, kind of quiet without our esteemed producer here, but why don't we go around the rant?
He's doing his mysterious... Well, he's doing his mysterious thing of being in South America again.
Oh, yes. Another week, another time in South America.
And Seth, the Panama-Amsterdam flight has 2 seats open in business.
Oh, as awards?
As awards.
Huh. I have to look into that.
No. Now you've got him hooked. Now he's going to be spending all night doing that. Oh, that's funny.
That'll be a fun line. It's a long flight.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
Well, let's go around the table. Tell everyone where they can find us. Foz?
Twitter as FozM and upgrd.com/Foz, though. Can't tell you when I was last there, so maybe not.
And I'm Seth, also known as the Wandering Airman, at WANDRME on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Steven Seagraves. You can find me at badice.com or on Twitter at sseagraves. You can follow Dots, Lines, and Destinations on Twitter at DotsLines or on the website moredotsmorelines.com. If you enjoy the show, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes and comment on the website. We'd love to hear from you. We do get some listener feedback, so we're going to try to put an email up there that goes to all of us, and that way we can get your emails in a central place. But thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Take care.